Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Strike Zone with St. Paul Saints Manager George Tsamis. Strike Zone is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the St. Paul skipper questions about the Saints, baseball or sports in general, or just seek George's wisdom about life events that are going on out there. In this week's episode, George provides us with some team updates. He talks a little baseball with us. And does George think Liz is dead? Well, let's find out on Strike Zone. So let us welcome back Manager George Tsamis this week. George, let's first of all begin with your team updates.
Okay. This week we had signed outfitter Braylon Almadova. We got a couple of good reports on him. He's a speedy outfitter that can play all three outfield spots, and from what we're told, he's an exciting player, and it's good to have that speed out there, and again, that's something with our outfield last year. We had a real good outfield. Two guys that can really run, and Klesnicka had a great arm in right field, and was a good outfielder. And this is just another good outfielder we have, and now we have four good ones, and so it's nice to add him.
I wanted to mention about him briefly to kind of talk about something that we had talked about right at the starting of last season. Was you really wanted to dedicate a little bit more of the way that you were presenting your offense towards adding speed and getting a little more of the stolen bases. Is this kind of a continuation of that for you?
Absolutely, yes. Because it's over the years too, and I've been doing this for a long time, and years ago we always look for the guys that can hit the ball over the fence, and at times it works, and at times it doesn't. But I just feel that maybe getting some speedy guys, maybe that would be the route to go. And even with Sioux City, obviously they had the great outfield last year, and they had a great team, and they had some guys that can run. And I just feel that it's, we do have some guys that can hit the ball with the fence, but I don't think you can get enough guys that can run and steal bases and cause problems on the bases. So it's the route we're going to go, and we hope that these guys can. It'd be nice to have, three guys that can steal 30-plus bases. It would be nice to have that.
It looks like you have that in place now, so that definitely could come out.
Well, we hope. We will see. You know what? And I've always said this every year. Everybody says, yeah, your team looks great coming in. I'm sure every team out there likes their team, and it looks good on paper, but a team looking good on paper doesn't mean anything. You have to go out there and get it done, and year to year, you just don't know what's going to happen.
That is the truth. So we head to our fan questions. Let's first of all start with Karen from Circle Pines, who asks, how do you think the loss of Brett Harper will affect your team now?
Yeah, it's obviously a big loss to lose him. A big left-handed bat, a cleanup hitter type guy that could hit 20-plus home runs. But again, that's the way it goes, and we'll do the best we can to replace him. And but again, once again, you can never blame a player for going down to Mexico to make all that money down there. And we wish him the best, and but we will end up we'll find something else.
Next up is Sal from Richfield, who asked, did you see that throw by John Lester on the bunt attempt this weekend? He can't throw to first. I don't understand why everyone does not just bunt against him.
Yeah, you know what? I did not see it, but I heard about it, and I do remember last year seeing the problems he had throwing too. And it's just weird. It's tough to explain how you just can't throw to the bases, and I agree. Maybe they should try to bunt more on him. He is a great pitcher though, and it's easier said than done. But bunting on him's a good idea. But again, that depends on too. If that third baseman's playing in to prevent the bunt, if the first baseman maybe comes in a little bit too, then it's maybe you can't do that. So that's a tough one to explain on his throwing problems.
Darren from Minneapolis would like to ask, George, which Minnesota Twins team should we expect this season? The one that started 0-9 or the one that swept the Angels?
Well, let's go with the one that swept the Angels, because you know what? Now they've won 4 in a row, and it's good for them, and hopefully they can keep it going. And it was a tough start, and everybody counted them out, and that's it. The season's over after a week. But it is a long season, and it just takes one streak to get back in it, and people want to see, okay, the 0-9, it's over, but how about looking at the they're 4 or 5 games out of first place with 5 months left. That's the way I look at it. I think you got to look at it in a positive way, and it is a long season. And they do have some young, good players, and again, just the first week they just didn't hit much, and sometimes you're allowed to give credit to the other team that they just played a little bit better.
When I hear reaction from fans and sportscasters and stuff, about a 9-game losing streak, I'm thinking this is like 6% of the season. And I mean, you're writing it off at that point. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, you know what? It's the way it is. It's a game of streaks, and I hope they win 9 in a row. That'd be great. It's a tough start. Everybody goes through them. We all go through bad days, bad streaks, and just hope they keep the good streak going.
Champ from Plymouth asks, and I don't know, he says Bryce Harper had homered in 4 straight games. I don't know if he homered last night, but he looks so good. Could he get better?
I don't know. He is as good as he gets, and he is still young, though, so maybe he can, but he is a special player, and we're going to enjoy watching him play for a long time.
He's got a sweet bat. There's no doubt about that. Alan from Maple Grove would like to know, is there anything that has surprised you in the majors so far this season?
Well, obviously, the Twins start, it was a surprise because nobody expected that to happen, and but again, that streak's over, and hopefully they keep going. There's one, I wouldn't even call it a surprise, but watching Noah Syndergaard pitch, he is something else with those 100-mile-per-hour fastballs and some 90-mile-per-hour changeups. It's just he is fun to watch. I wouldn't really call it a surprise, but when they're talking about the ace of that team, they're talking about Harvey and DeGrom, and he really was considered the third guy. But after seeing him pitch a few times, he's great to watch, and he's as good as he gets.
But he's got such good stuff too. It's not even just that fastball. His stuff is just electric for sure.
Yeah, and he has a nice hair too, so he's fun to watch.
That is absolutely the truth. Next we come from Ken, who says, George, why is it that on the third strike, if the catcher drops the ball, then he has to throw the runner out at first? Does that rule make sense to you?
That's just the way it goes, and that's the way the rule was, and you wonder why that is the rule, but that's the way it's always been, and I really never thought twice about it. And I know growing up when you're playing in Little League, that wasn't the case, but it's that's the rule, and at least we all understand that rule. That is the rule. Not like in the NFL, when nobody knows what the catch rule is. So it's at least we understand this rule.
Very true. Carl from Duluth would like to know, do you like the rule in the majors that a manager only gets 45 seconds to talk to his pitcher once he leaves the dugout? Do you see the American Association adopting a rule like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if our league's going to do that. I like it, though. If it speeds up the game, to me, that's, especially when the pitching coach goes out there, just go out there, say what you need to say and get out of there, because it is more exciting for everyone, when the game is speeds up a little bit. So I do like the time limit on the visits.
Next, we learn from Olivia from Chaska, who says, George, I know you are not one who likes players leaving one team to go and play for an arch rival. So how do you feel about Lackey and Hayward leaving the Cardinals to play for the Cubs?
Yeah, that just goes with, that's the way it works, I guess. And, and Lackey's played for a few different teams, and I guess he pitched great last night against them. And, but it's just the way it goes, and like I said, I wish guys stayed longer with teams, but I don't think we're ever going to see that change, and that's the way it is.
Next we come to Benny from St. Paul, who says, with the NFL draft coming up, he's curious to know what you were doing when you found out that you were drafted.
I was waiting by the phone and waiting to get a phone call and hoping to get a phone call, and because back then, there was no cell phones, no the internet and all that stuff, and you're waiting and waiting, and the day's going on, and it's you're waiting all day, hours and hours, and you're starting to doubt yourself, like, how come it hasn't happened yet? And I think around 6 o'clock I got a call from the Twins, and it's a great feeling to get that phone call that you've been drafted.
Did you have other people with you waiting during the day?
Yeah, my dad was there, and my mom was home, so it was, it was nice. It was just you wait all day, and you think something's gonna happen in the morning, and you don't get the phone call, and you wait and wait, but it was nice to finally get the call.
That's awesome. Next comes up Mitch from Chicago, who asks, do you think the baseball draft has too many rounds to it? What is it, like 60 rounds?
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I know there are a lot of rounds. I know there are, but you know what? There are a lot of minor league teams out there, and if it can get more people playing, and because there are rookie ball teams, and then low A, high A, and double A, triple A. So, if it gives more guys a chance, I'm all for it.
Well, I think the other thing to remember, too, is that sometimes some of those late-round guys become gems. Like, wasn't Piazza like a 39th or 40th round pick or something?
Yeah, he was late, and you don't have to be a first-rounder to play in the big league, so I know the first-rounders get more of a chance, but you know what? Just keep going and keep playing and work as hard as you can until they tell you can't play anymore.
Next comes up a person identifying himself as Dad in need of some help. He says, George, I am in need of your help. My son is 7 and would really like to learn how to play baseball. He has asked me to help teach him every day for the last few weeks. But let's just say I am more of an academic than an athletic person. Is there a way that you would recommend that I learn so I could teach him better, using videos, books, watching games?
I always say you can learn a lot. Just sitting there watching a game on TV, you can pick up so many things from watching those major league players, and from pitcher's motion to where a catcher sets up to the footwork of an infielder. There are so many things you can learn by just watching a game, and if taking lessons too, going out and getting a hitting lesson or getting a pitching lesson, to get somebody else's point of view on it, maybe an experienced player or a coach or manager, or getting lessons too. To me, you can go there and you can learn a lot in that first hour.
Okay, there's good advice for that dad out there. Our next one comes from Jack from Woodbury, who says, I am finishing my sophomore year in high school, and my coach told me that my arm action on my throws is from short, is too long because my arm is almost straightened out behind me. When I try to shorten it, I lose accuracy. Are there any recommendations you have for me to improve my motion and improve my accuracy?
Well, first I would listen to my coach, and if he's saying it, there's a reason he is saying it, and it may feel weird because you're just changing something. You've been in a habit for so long of throwing a certain way, and it may feel weird at first, but you just got to keep practicing it and get used to it and get out of that bad habit. And he is right. You don't see really any you watch any games on TV, you don't see any shortstops winding up to throw. So just listen to what he says, keep working on it, and once you practice it enough, it'll be more comfortable and you can improve your accuracy.
I would assume that the more you practice at that too, your strength of that would improve as well.
Absolutely. And again, it's just getting used to it too. And I give pitching lessons here, and first when you try to change somebody and you try to show them what you feel is the right way to do something. At first they're uncomfortable with it. It doesn't feel right, and they don't want to. It's tough to pick up right away, but once as they practice it more and more, it gets easier, and it makes them better.
Our last question comes from Katie from St. Paul about George's favorite show. She says, George, say it ain't so that Liz is dead. That had to just be a tease, wasn't it?
That was a devastating night, and I hope it is. And obviously, for those who don't watch the show, they don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, it was a disappointing night. Actually, was kind of mad about it, and you just hope it's not true. So but I've told all of you that you should tune in and start from the beginning, and then I could talk about it with you as well.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm just telling you this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this: if you're not watching the show, you're blowing it. So you want to you have a little free time, just start from the beginning and watch a couple episodes at a time, and then when I see you at the field, you can come up to me and talk to me about it.
I think what you're trying to say is that you're going to talk about the blacklist more often, so people might as well start watching so they know what you're talking about.
Sure, and if there's any fans that are watching it, they can come down come down to the dugout before the game and talk to me about it, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Have a big forum in front of the dugout. That'd be awesome.
That's great. That'd be great.
All right, thanks for joining us this week, George.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you later.
All right. We want to thank Manager George Tsamis for joining us on Strike Zone this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the St. Paul Saints skipper, please send them to us at askgeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's askgeorge@minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give the skipper a little time to review them before we record the show on Monday. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll look for you next week on Strike Zone.